Hello friends, welcome to my channel. This is the video I'm starting for MT6 and the rest of MT2 I'll post later. And in the MT2 I have given you the topics, but in MT6 there are topics, but you have to go through it because many theorems are there and you must have to practice those things. So by referring the previous year question papers, I will start from unit 1, and in each unit I will say you the important topics you have to go through. Also we will solve the examples and whatever the questions given in the last of that unit. Okay, and after covering the whole book we will jump to the previous year question paper, and that will be very easier for you because this is a tough subject. So let's just start it. We'll start from unit 1. Okay, and unit 1, the first topic is equivalence relation. So this is equivalence relation. Now you know what do you mean by relation. Relation means there is something, like if we are taking two elements x and y, then x is related with y, and y is related to x in some relation. Okay, that we call relation, and we can represent this as x is related to y. So we know that any set, let it be A, any set consists of some elements, right? So suppose I can write it x, y, z and anything, okay? So any set is a collection of well-defined and distinct objects. So here A, also if I'm saying you that A is a set, that means it contains some elements, okay? And relation shows the, and whenever we are talking about relation, that means the relation between any two elements. And equivalent relation means what? Look, you already know that any relation is called equivalence relation if it is, first one is reflexive, second one is symmetric, third one is transitive. As you know these all the things, I will just explain you in short. Okay, suppose I am taking the set of natural number n, and you know that n is equals to 1 2 3 up to infinity. Okay, I'm taking any I'm taking a relation. Let the relation be greater than, okay, and this greater than will be represented with capital R. That means every time we don't need to write that greater than, this is greater than that, and anything is greater than anything, just we can write the R. Example, if I'm taking any two arbitrary element 3 and 5, okay, and I am writing R, that means 3 is greater than R, 3 is greater than 5, but this is not true, right? I can write it 5 R 3. Okay, so 5 is greater than 3. Okay, hope you understand. That means look, I just flipped the 3 and 5 here as 5 and 3, and this relation holds good for this but not for this. Okay, that means many relations are there. You cannot just assume that everything is reflexive or symmetric or whatever. You have to check it out, right? So let's do an example on this. Okay, so it is given any relation R is there. Okay, the set is Z. This relation we are considering on set Z, given by A, R, B. I told you that we need to write the elements like this, and whatever the relation is, we just have to represent that relation with capital R. And what is the relation? If and only if A is greater than B. Okay, just I told you now. So A is greater than B. So don't get confused. This represents the element of Z, and this also represents the element of Z. This two can be anything. Okay, like this two can be equal also, like 1 and 1, this two can be 4 and 5, this two can be anything. Okay, but this must satisfy this condition. Okay, that is the relation. So we have to determine that whether they are reflexive or symmetric or transitive or not. As I told you that we are going to practice the examples and the questions given in the book. So first we will show that whether it is reflexive or not. Okay, So what do you mean by reflexive? Okay, what is the meaning of this word actually? We know that if there is a mirror and there is an object, okay, then the same object will get reflect back, right? That means here two elements are there, no, but whatever we are considering the as first, that will be as the second. Okay, that means look here, if I am writing A, then I have to write here A. Okay, don't get confused. If you can write B also. Okay, so I'm just taking here A. So what is the condition? It is saying A is greater than A, because this is the relation. But can anytime this A will be greater than A? Never, right? Because the same element will always be equal. That means this is not true. Hence it is not reflexive. Similarly, symmetric. Okay, symmetric means it's just like commutative. That means if I'm writing something as A and B, it will be equals to B and A. That means if we are flipping the position also, the condition or the relation will get satisfied. Okay, this is, I just showed you as multiplication product of A and B and A. But here, as we are talking about the relation, we have to write like this: A R B is equals to B R A. Understood? I just flipped the position of A and B to B and A. So first we will write, or we will find A R B. That means what? A is greater than B. Okay. So suppose we are taking this as true. Okay. Let A is greater than B. This is true. Because we have to fix anything, any one of the A greater than B or B greater than A, because there are no numbers, right? So we just have to fix this. Let A is greater than B. Okay, what the second thing is telling us? B related to A. That means B is greater than A. Okay, but if you are taking this as true, then this will get false, no? I'm just replacing it with number. Suppose this is 7 is greater than 2. Okay, I'm taking this as true. Then if I'm again saying you inversely that 2 is greater than 7, this is never true, right? So this is not true. Therefore, ARB is not is equals to BRA. That means it is not symmetric. Now come to transitive. Okay, transitive means it is just like associative property. Okay, so we are taking any three elements A, B and C. Okay, you can write A, B and C that belongs to Z, because the set is we have taken the set as Z. Okay, so you can write it just closer. I just wrote it to explain you. Again I'm writing it. That means if I'm saying you that A is related to B and B is related to C, right? A is related to B and B is related to C. Okay, that means A is related to C. This is the transitive property telling us. Okay, so let's just check it out. A or B means what? The relation is greater than A greater than B, we are saying. B or C means what? B greater than C, we are saying. Okay, if A is greater than B and B is greater than C, if you are like a little bit of confusion is, if you have a little bit of confusion, then you can just replace this with numbers. Like you can write it 7 is greater than 5 and 5 is greater than 3. That means 7 is greater than 3, right? The 7 represents A and 3 represents C. Okay, then A is greater than C. That means A is related to C. That means we can write that A are B and B are C if then A are C. That means if A is related to B and B is related to C, then A is related to C. Simple. Therefore, this is transitive. Okay, so just before I told you that equivalence relation means it must satisfy the reflexive, symmetric and transitive, but the example we took, this did not satisfy the reflexive and symmetric but satisfy the transitive. So in overall, this A greater than B is not an equivalence relation. Okay, so this is the second example given in the book. So let S be a non-empty set. Suppose, just to explain you this, what is the power of set, what is this P of S and S. So just I'm giving you I'm giving you a small example. Let S is equals to 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 10. So this is a set. What do you mean by subset of this? The subset of S are, you can say, 5, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, then 2, 3, 4, and everything. What you know that these all are the subset. Okay, I just wrote here 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, but how many subset will be there? To the power 10. This is the number of the subsets that S have. Okay, so here there is nothing given that S has 10 element. This is just an example I gave you to make you understand. Okay, so what is P of S? P of S means power of S. Power of S means the set of all the subsets. I will write here dot dot dot. Last subset I'll write 1, 2, 3 up to 10. Okay, so all the set of all the subsets is called the power of set. So let S be a non-empty set, and power of S denote the set of all subsets. Just I told you that the set of all the subset is denoted by P of S, where P of S is equals to A, such that A is subset of S. Okay, subset means that can be subset or that can be equal. As I wrote here the last one, 1, 2, 3 up to 10, this is equals to the set of S. Okay, so this is also a subset. So this represents the subset, this power of set. Define a relation R. We have to define a relation R on this power of set. Okay, that means on this by R is equals to, okay, what is the relation given? There are two subsets given, A and B. Okay, where A and B belongs to the power of set. That means these are the subsets, and what is the relation? A is subset or equivalent to B. That means A is always smaller than B. Okay, smaller than or equals to. You can you can take just like 1, 2 if it is A, then B can be 1, 2, right? Because these are equivalent. B can be 1, 2, 3 because A is a subset of B. Okay, but B can never be 1, right? Because the relation is saying us that A is subset, that means A will be smaller. So to prove the reflexive, we will take the set of A and A, okay, such that A is smaller or equivalent to A, which is true because A is equals to A, so this is true. That means this is reflexive. This is means what? The relation is reflexive. Okay, now symmetric. If we are taking A and B, two power sets, such that if I am saying you that A is smaller than or equals to B, okay, then I am saying you symmetric means we are flipping the elements. So here the elements are A and B. Okay, so I am saying you that either I am showing you in Venn diagram. Suppose this can be A or B because equal has been given, or this will be A and this will be B, right? A is subset of B. Now BA means what? B is subset or equals to A. In this equivalent case, here is also we can write that this can be B and A, but the second case is what? The second case is saying us that B is a subset of A. That means B is smaller. So this is the contradiction we are getting, right? Any two subset can never be at a time, can never satisfy this two at a time. So we can write that A subset B is never equivalent to B subset of A. Therefore, this is not symmetric. Right? Similarly, for transitive is the easiest one, right? You can take any two, any three. Okay? Sorry, first you have to write it that this belongs to power of sets. So if we are saying that A is subset of B and B is subset of C, that means in the Venn diagram it will be like this. This is just for better understanding. Okay, that means A is a subset of C. That means A is a subset of C, therefore it is transitive. Okay, but for equivalence relation, as the symmetric does not satisfy, this relation will never be an equivalence relation. Okay, this is the next question. So the relation is R, okay, which is a subset of n cross n. Now what is the meaning of n? This represents natural number and this represents natural number. Now n cross n means the Cartesian product. Remember, suppose A is equals to 1 2 3 and B is equals to 4 5 6. Then what is the product of this? This is 1 4 1 5 1 6 2 4 2 5 2 6 3 4 3 5 3 6, like this, right? So just like that, n cross n means every element from n and every element from n. Okay, so this is defined by A B. Okay, this represents in this Cartesian coordinate form which belongs to this R if, okay, what is the relation? 5 divides the difference between these two. So first we have to check whether they are reflexive or not, and for reflexive we have to take the same element, right? So I am taking A minus A, and the same element, the difference between same element is 0, and obviously this, oh, and obviously 5 divides this 0, right? 5 divides 0, you can just write it 5 divides 0, so 5 zeros are 0 and it divides obviously. Remember 0 by 5, here 5 divides 0, this is valid, but 0 divides 5, sorry, 5 by 0, this is not valid because 0 can never divide anyone, but 5 can divide 0, so therefore this is reflexive. Now next, after solving this unit 1, what are the question in the previous year papers are there related to this, we will solve. Reflexive, then comes symmetry. In symmetry I told you that we just need to change the place. Okay, that means if I am saying you A minus B, okay, just change the place, it will be B minus A. Okay, so suppose I am taking this relation as A minus, as 5 divides A minus B, that means A minus B may be some multiple of 5. Okay, so in the contrary, if I am saying B minus A, that will be minus 5x, right? And minus 5x is also divided by 5. Therefore, here ARB is equals to BRA. You can take examples like 10 and 5. Suppose this is A, suppose this is B. If you are saying that the difference between these two is divisible by 5, that means the subtraction, the difference must be some multiple of 5. That's why 5 can divide it. So if you are flipping this 5 minus 10, it will come minus 5. Okay, and minus 5 also divided by 5. Okay, that means this is symmetric. This is symmetric. Now comes transitive. Now suppose we will take any 3 elements like A, B and C. Oh, again I just gave much space, you can write it closer. So suppose this much, these all are belongs to N. Okay, so first one is I'll take A and B are related, A are B and B and C are related. Okay, let this is true. Okay, so we have to check that if A is related to C, remember A, B, C. A is related to B, B is related to C, we have to show that A is related to C, then only it will be transitive. So that means I can write that A is related to B, means A minus B, let A minus B is equals to 5m. Okay, and BRC, that means again the whatever the subtraction, the difference will be, that will be divisible by 5. So let it be 5n. Okay, now if I am saying you a r c, a r c means what? A minus c, right? A minus c means, look, if we will subtract these two, we can get this. How? Because, sorry, if we will add these two, we can get a minus c. Suppose I am taking this equation and equation 2, we just add equation 1 and equation 2, it will be a minus b plus b minus c. Okay, there is nothing difficult here, just you have to use your common sense. Like I wrote here 5m and 5n, here look, minus b and plus b are there, so if we are simply adding, this b will get cancelled and we will have a and c. Okay, so if we are adding this to left hand side, then right hand side will also get multiplied. So b will get cancelled. A minus c is equals to 5 multiply m plus n. That means the difference is some multiple of 5. That means a minus c is divided by 5. Okay, that means a is related to c. Okay, therefore this is transitive. Now look, this thing satisfied the reflexive, symmetric and also transitive. That means this relation, therefore R is an equivalence relation. So the next topic is equivalence class. Okay, that you need to know in this unit 1. So what is an equivalence class? A set S can be divided into a number of mutually disjoint subsets by equivalence relation. That means, okay, I'm just giving you an arbitrary example, that let A is equals to 1 2 3 4. I just gave you this one up to 10. I'm just taking now up to 5. So what are the subsets? It can be 1 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5 and 5. Now look, they are, now look, this one element, okay, is here, here and here. That means they are joint, right? If you will consider everything and if you will find out intersection, then 1 will be the common. Just like that, in this 2 1 2 is the common, in this 2 1 2 3 is the common, in this 2 1 2 is the common, in this 2 1 is the common. That means they are joint. Okay, this thing is telling us that any set can be divided into mutually disjoint set. Now here you will take anything, any subset, okay, all are mutually disjoint. Understand what does it mean? Now it is saying us that we can also divide any set by a equivalence relation. Okay, what do you mean by that? I took let any element A from the set S. Okay, and okay, so let any element, if you are considering from the set A, then from the set S, then R be an equivalence relation on the set S. Okay, that this is the R relation we are defining on the set S. Then B belongs to S such that A R B is called equivalent class of A and is denoted by equivalence class of A. What do you mean by this? Now look. So from here you already understood that A also belongs to S, B also belongs to S, right? And A and B are related to each other in some relation. Then we can write all the values of B. Okay, we can write all the values of B that is belongs to S, and that set of B, okay, and all the possibilities of B will be called the equivalent class of A. Example, here a relation has been given. ARB is defined as AB belongs to R. R means what? N cross N, remember? Okay, if 5 divides A minus B, that means this is the relation 5 divides the difference. Okay, so what I told you, that we have to write all the elements of B, that is the set. right? We just wrote it that all the elements of B is the set. So what, okay, all the elements of B are the set, and we can represent the A as equivalent class. So we have to fix the A first. Okay, so I just fixed for A is equals to 1. Okay, the difference must be divided by 5. So understand, if this is 1, if A is 1, then B is also 1, then only the difference will be, this is the difference. Okay, difference is 0, this 0 is divided by 5. Now 1 is fixed, no? So the, what is the next number? It can be 6. The difference is minus 5, and this is divided by 5. Next 1 is fixed, the next number is 11, and the difference will be minus 10, and so this minus 10 is divisible by 5. So this, as this one is fixed, we can call the whole procedure as class of 1. Remember, whatever was the A, that was the, that denotes the class. Okay, that's why we have fixed the value of A, and the value of B will vary, and as this belongs to capital N and capital N, this will go up to infinity. Okay, so class of 1 means 1, 6, 11 up to infinity. Now class of 2 means, look here, I will show you directly. First element is 2, so 2 minus 2 is 0, and 0 is divisible by 5. 2 minus 7 minus 5 divisible by 5. 2 minus 12 minus 10 divisible by 5. Okay, understood? Just like that. Class of 3. Okay, you can check 3 minus 3, 3 minus 8, 3 minus 13. Like this up to infinity. Class of 4, class of 5. Now look, when you are coming to class of 6. Okay, again you are getting 1, 6 and 11, as 6 minus 1, the difference is 5. 6 minus 6, the difference is 0. 6 minus 11, the difference is minus 5, and so on, and all these things are divisible by 5. That means this is getting repeated, right? And this is the class of 1 we already know. So this class of 6 is equivalent to class of 1. Similarly, class of 7 will be equivalent to class of 2. Okay, class of 8 will be equivalent to class of 3, and so on. So after this 5, no, everything is getting repeated. That means 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, these all are mutually disjoint. That means there will be nothing in common. Look, here 1 is there, you cannot find 1 anywhere else here. That means this is mutually disjoint with the others. Just like that, you can check that all these sets, class of 1, class of 2, class of 3, class of 4 and class of 5, all are mutually disjoint. Okay, that means we can write this relation as union of class of 1, class of 2, class of 3, class of 4, class of 5. Understood? This is the class. And as I told you, any relation you can define. Here I just here just the example has been given that the difference is divided by 5. You can also write that A is greater than B. Okay, and where A, B belongs to n cross n. That means if you are writing 1 here, okay, then what will be the set of B for this? There is nothing, right? So it's infinity. If we are taking 2, then 2 should be greater, then there is only one value, 1. Okay, if we are taking class of 3, then what is the value of B here? 4, sorry, 1 and 2. Understood? Just like that, if somewhere look, it is getting repeated here and here, 1 is getting repeated here, so these are not mutually disjoint, but in this case these are getting mutually disjoint. So this is called the equivalence class. Okay, and this is the relation which is an equivalence relation. That means it will satisfy the reflexive, symmetric and transitive relation. Okay, so look, so we can see that these are equal and all will go on like this. Okay, this is the next exercise, this is the next example given. So let S be the set of straight lines in R cross R. Okay, R represents the real number, and you know that anything, any plane, any line can be represented in a plane. Okay, so this is the plane, and this is, you know, this is the number line is R, and this is the number line R. Okay, and this is x axis and y y dash, x dash, and y dash. Okay, so it is telling that what is the relation, that either L1 is equals to L2 or L1 is parallel to L2. Okay, so S is the set. Okay, S is the set. That means let L1, L2 up to like this. Either all the straight lines in this set are either they are equal or they are parallel to each other. We have to show that R is an equivalence relation. So to show this, first one is reflexive, and for reflexive I told you that whatever the elements you are taking, that must be equal. So L1 is equals to L1, right? Therefore it satisfies, therefore it is reflexive. Now the next one is symmetric, and I told you that symmetric is kind of commutative, so we will take any two lines, L1 and L2 belongs to S. Okay, and if I am saying you that L1 is parallel to L2, then L2 is also parallel to, you can write a parallel to L1, that is equals to L2 parallel to L1, therefore it is symmetric. Now comes transitive. In case of transitive, we have to take any three lines, L1, L2, L3, that belongs to S. Okay, so we have to show that if L1 is parallel to L2 and L2 is parallel to L3, then L1 is parallel to L3, right? And this is true also, because look, if I am saying you that L1 is parallel to L2, okay, and L2 is parallel to L3, that means L1 and L3 are also in parallel with each other, therefore it is transitive. Okay, and as the relation is reflexive, symmetric, and transitive, this relation is an equivalence relation. You can write it here. Okay, then what is the next question? We have to find the equivalent class of R. We have to find the equivalent class in R. So now these are the Cartesian coordinate, and this is line L1, this is line L2, and this is line L3, and all are passing through the origin 0 0. Okay, so we can represent this L1 class, okay, as all the lines that are parallel to L1. Like we can write it like this. If this is L1, we can give it like LX1, LX2. Okay, we can draw a line here also, LX3, like this, right? So LX1, LX2, LX3 up to infinity, everything which are parallel to this L1. Now like this, for the L2 we can draw the parallel lines to L2. Okay, let this be LY1, this is LY2, etc. Okay, so class of L2 is equals to Ly1, Ly2 up to infinity. Like this we can draw for L3, and let it be Z1 and Z2, so LZ1, LZ2, etc. Okay, so like this it will come infinity, because through 0 we can draw any line at any angle, so many are there, so we will write like this infinity. So the question has been given that what are the equivalent class in R. So the equivalent classes in R is equals to, we can write L1, L2, L3 up to infinity. Okay, infinity means between 0 degree to 360 degree, it can be of any angle. Okay, and all those lines that is parallel to the line that we have considered comes under this set. Okay, now jump to the next. Show that a is related to b if and only if modulus of a is equals to modulus of b. Now you know that this is the function of modulus. Okay, this always come as non-negative integer. Okay, so this is the relation it is saying us, and we have to prove that whether it is an equivalence relation or not. Then we have to find the class of 0 and class of a. So first we have to find whether they are reflexive or not, and for reflexive we will take one element, let it be a. So a r a means this will satisfy this relation. So let the modulus of a is a, and this will be obviously equivalent to the modulus of a. So it is reflexive. Now come to the next, that is symmetric. Okay, so for symmetric we will take any two integers that belongs to the z. So let a and b belongs to z. So modulus of a and modulus of b. So we will take that let or if modulus of a is equals to modulus of b, then obviously modulus of b will equivalent to modulus of a, right? So it is symmetric. Then the third one is transitive. For the transitive we will consider three elements that belongs to the integer z. Okay, so here we have to prove that if a is related to b and b is related to c, okay, then a is related to c. Remember, if a is related to b, b is related to c, then a is directly related to c. So let's just find it. If a is related to b, then modulus of a is equals to modulus of b, and b is related to c means modulus of b is equals to modulus of c. That means a is equals to b is equals to c. Sorry, I forgot the modulus. That means modulus of a is equals to modulus of c. That means a is related to c. Therefore, it is transitive. Okay. So as this relation is reflexive, you can write it. Therefore, the relation is reflexive, symmetric, and transitive, this is an equivalence relation. Okay. Then the next thing, it has been asking us to find out the class of 0 and class of 1. Now remember, we called a as class of a if the element b belongs to the R such that a r b. Okay, that means if a and b are okay, here we have fixed the a, so here also we have to find 0, right? That means we have fixed the values of 0. So we have to find all the possibilities of b, and that will be the set of equivalent class. And we know that okay, what is the relation? Modulus of 0. Okay, here modulus of 0 will equivalent to modulus of b. Modulus of a means what? 0. We have, as we have fixed the 0, I just wrote it like modulus of 0 is equals to modulus of b. And this is only possible if the value of b is 0. That means the equivalent class of 0 consists of 0 only. Now class of 1. Class of 1 means we have fixed the value of 1. Okay, so when we say that modulus of a means modulus of 1 means 1, the answer must come modulus of 1. Okay, modulus of 1 means 1, and there are two possibilities, one is 1 and another one is minus 1, because this belongs to the integer z, right? And in z there are positive integers and negative integers also. Okay, so 1 and minus 1, the modulus of both will come 1. So the equivalent, remember, this belongs to the integer. Integer means it consists of all the negative numbers, positive numbers, and also 0. Okay, so equivalent class of 1 is 1 and minus 1. Now one more important topic, that is 1 1 and onto. Okay, we know we can call the 1 1 as injective and onto as surjective. And what do you mean by injective and surjective? Suppose we have three elements x, y, and z. Okay, and it is related to this with some function. Okay, So for x there exists f of x, for y there exists f of y, and for z there exists f of z. What is 1 1? 1 1 means every element, okay, or that means one element corresponds only to one element of this. Understood? That means we can never say that x and y both corresponds to any one f of a or codomain. Okay, this is not 1 1, but this is 1 1. Understood? Also we can never say that x gives us any two elements. So let this be domain and this is the range. Okay, so remember the definition of function says us that for each value of domain there exists one value of range. That means if I am taking any one value from the domain, it will correspond to only one value of range. Okay, so this is a function, but if I am saying that any element of the domain corresponds to more than one, okay, you can say 2 or 3, more than one function, more than one element of the range, then this is not a function. Okay, but it can be possible that any two value from the domain corresponds to one value of range. And why this is possible? Because just consider one by one, consider this value of x, and this corresponds to one element of range, okay, as according to the definition. And also now consider separately, y is also an element and this corresponds to only one value of range. Okay, that's why this is a function. Okay, but any one element can never have more than one elements in the range. Understood? So what is 1 1? Look, suppose these are the elements. Okay, now this is related to this, 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 this is related to this. Okay, I can never say that this is related to more than one values here. So this is called 1 1. That means every value of domain corresponds to a single element of the range. This is 1 1. Now look here, in this range two elements are left. Okay, still it does not like affect anything for 1 1. This is called injective, but this will affect in the surjective or unto, because the unto is saying us that suppose we are taking this as a and this as b. So if we will consider any four elements from the domain a, okay, and there are five elements in the b, so we can also call this as f of a. Let it be f of x1, f of x2, f of x3, f of x4. Let it be x1. Okay, there one left. Let it be f of x5, x2, x3 and x4. Okay, so there is a relation called f and we can call this as f of a. Now as we know that one value of domain will correspond to only one value of the range, right? So one value in the range left, right? So in this case it is not onto. Onto means, okay, we can represent the f of a is the range. We know whatever the a is here, the f of a is range. Here the f of a is not equivalent to b, right? Because b contains 5 elements, but our range contains only 4 elements. Okay, onto means what? If f of a is equals to b, f of a means what? Range. Range is equals to whatever the set is here we have taken. If the range is equivalent to that, then only it will be called onto. Okay, hope you understand. Now we can say about the 1 1 function that if f of a1 is not equivalent to f of a2, that means a1 must not is equals to a2. Example 4, 5, 6 is like this. This is the 1 function. Okay, suppose we are taking any 2, 4 and 5. This is the f of function range. If these two are not equal, then the element in the domain also will not be equal. Okay, similarly we can say that f of a1 is equals to f of a2. That means if the element in the range are equal, that means the elements in the domain will must be equal, and using this two only we can find that whether a function is 1 or not. So now jump to the example. This is the first example of 1 and onto. Okay, so this is the function given f of n is equals to n plus 5. We can represent this graphically as this is also n, this is also n. Okay, so this is f of n. If n belongs to n, then f of n also belongs to n. So we have to show, or we have to prove that this f is 1. As I told you about this, we can use either this or either this. Now I will use this one. Let f of n1, f of n2 belongs to n such that f of n1 does not belongs to f of n2. Okay, that means what is f of n1? It will be n1 plus 5. This will be n2 plus 5. Now this 2 will get cancelled. Okay, so it is n1 is not equals to n2. So it is proved. Therefore, it is 1 1. It is a simple thing. Like if we are saying if we are taking any two different elements n1 and n2, then obviously this n1 will corresponds to one element, and this n2 will corresponds to another element, and both will be distinct. You can take the n1 as 1 and n2 as 2. So f n1 will be here 1 plus 5 6, here 2 plus 5 7. So as n1 is not equals to n2, so f of n1 is not equals to f of n2. Now we have to check that whether they are onto or not. Onto means what? The range must be equals to the set n. Okay, now consider this n plus 5. Okay, okay, n's the value of n. This capital N means natural number, and we know that n is equals to 1 2 3 up to infinity. Okay, that means it starts from 1. So if we are taking small n, it will start from either 1 or n is equals to 2 or n is equals to 3, like this it will start. Now just put, okay, that means f of n is equals to, this will be 6, here f of n will be 7, here f of n will be 8, and so on. Okay, but here look, this f of n starts from 6, right? You can write here f of n starts from 6 7 8 up to dot dot dot. But okay, so this is the range. Okay, but n starts from the elements of n starts from 1 2 3 4 5 6 up dot dot dot. That means range f n is not equals to n. That means it is not onto, right? So it is proved. And one more thing, if any function is 1 1 and onto both, then that function will called bijective. Okay, another function has been given from z to z. So this is z and this is also z, and there is a function. What is the function? F of n is equals to n plus 5, right? That means this n can start from 0, it can be 1, it can be 2, and so on. And f of n, okay, this is for onto, I just told you now. And this is this will be 5, this will be 6, and this will be 7, and so on. One more thing, this n belongs to z, that means it will also come as negative integer, so it will be -1, -2, and so on. So for minus 1, f of n will be 4, and this will be f of n will be 3, and so on, right? That means for every value of 1 in z, there exists some value of fn in z also. That means it is onto. That means you can say that range is equals to z. Therefore it is onto. Now what about 1 1? Remember, we will take any two, f of n1 and f of n2, okay, belongs to z, such that f of n1 is not equivalent to f of n2. Okay, so we'll take this f of n1 is not equivalent to f of n2. That means it will be n1 plus 5 is not equivalent to n2 plus 5, and 5 and 5 will get cancelled. That means n1 is not equivalent to n2. So as the elements from range is not equal, the elements from the domain is also not equals. Therefore it is 1 1. And remember, I told you, if any function is onto and 1 on both, therefore this function, this is optional, is known as bijective. In exam it comes like, check whether this function is bijective or not. Okay, one more thing I told you about the inverse in the linear algebra. Okay, but here you just know this. Suppose this is the x and this is f of x, let it be y, we can call this f of x as y. So this function directs, that means its direction is from domain to range. If we will reverse this, then this is the f inverse. Okay, so when we are coming from here to here, we are taking f of x, right? Now look, suppose we are coming from here to here and there is x, then it will be f of x. Now when we are starting from here and coming this side, then we will take the value of this, let this be y. Okay, so if this is y, then this will be f inverse of y, because this is the reverse function. Okay, so one of the most important topic in the unit 1 is principle of induction, and it comes very frequently in the exam. So we'll practice some questions, then we will solve the previous year question papers, because after this chapter, this unit 1 ends. So let any statement has been given for p of n, and we have to prove that this is true. So what we need to do is, first we have to find p of 1, and this will be true. Okay, then we will take p of k as true. Let p of k is true. Then we have to prove that p of k plus 1 statement is true. Okay, this is the procedure. So let's just solve the examples and questions, the questions given. So this is a statement we need to prove. Okay, so we will first find out for p1. So for LHS, p of 1 means it will be 1 cube, which is 1. Okay, and RHS will be 1 square multiply 1 plus 1 whole square by 4, which means 1 multiply 2 square by 4, and you know 2 square means 4. So this is 1. Therefore 1 cube is equals to 1 square multiply 1 plus 1 whole square by 4. Therefore p of 1 is true. What I told you, the next we have to take, let the p of k is true. Then let p of k is true. That is, p of k is true means what? 1 cube plus 2 cube up to k cube is equals to k square multiply k plus 1 whole square divided by 4. We have to prove p of k plus 1 is true, right? So we have to replace the k with k plus 1. That means 1 cube plus 2 cube plus k cube plus k plus 1 cube. Why I wrote this one? Because we know that after adding 1 we are getting the next term. So with after adding 1 with k, we will get k plus 1, and also we have the value of this much, right? So we just wrote like this. So k square plus k plus 1 whole square divided by 4. We need to prove this. So first of all, we will take the LHS. LHS is 1 cube plus 2 cube plus up to k cube plus k plus 1 whole cube. Now we can replace all of this with this much. So k square plus k plus 1 whole square divided by 4 plus this one is left, k plus 1 whole cube. Okay, now we need to prove this much, right? So this will be k square plus k plus 1 whole square plus 4 multiply k plus 1 whole cube divided by 4. Now what is the common here? The common is k plus 1 whole square. Sorry, this one we need to prove k plus 1. So it will be k plus 1 whole square. Okay, so here after taking the common out, k plus 1 whole square, what's left here? K square plus 4 multiply k plus 1, right? So we needed to prove k plus 1 whole square. We got here. Okay, sorry, this is what I wrote is wrong, because you have to replace the k with k plus 1. So this k will be replaced with, I'm just writing here, k plus 1 whole square, and this k will be also replaced with k plus 1. So k plus 1 plus 1 means k plus 2 whole square divided by 4. Okay, we need to prove this. So k plus 1 whole square, we got it here. We just 4 is here, we just need to prove this k plus 2 whole square. So look at here, we can convert this into k plus 2 whole square. How? K plus 1 whole square, this is k square plus 4k plus 4 divided by 4, and this is nothing but k plus 2 whole square. So we proved it, RHS. Therefore P of n is true. Okay, I have started from June 18. First question, using mathematical induction, prove that this much is divisible by 3 for all n greater than or equals to 1. Okay, so what is the statement? The statement is saying us that 10 to the power n plus 1 plus 10 to the power n plus 1 is divisible by 3. That means it is some multiple of 3. Let it be 3D, where D belongs to R. Okay, so first of all we will find P of 1, 10 to the power 1 plus 1 plus 10 to the power 1 plus 1, which is 10 to the power 2 plus 10 plus 1, which is 1 1 1, and this is divisible by 3. We can write it 3 multiply 37. That means this is divisible by 3. Therefore P of 1 is true. After that we will take let P of k is true. Then 10 to the power k plus 1 plus 10 to the power k plus 1 is equals to 3 some m. Okay, where m belongs to R. So this is true, we took. We have to prove P of k plus 1 is true. That means 10 to the power k plus 2 plus 10 to the power k plus 1 plus 1 is equivalent to 3n, where n belongs to R. So just take the LHS first. 10 to the power k plus 2 plus 10 to the power k plus 1 plus 1. Okay, here we can take the 10 to the power k common. If we are taking 10 to the power k common, it will be, okay, sorry, we need to take common 10, because we want this need to be proved, and we have this one, right? We can apply 3m in place of this. So we will try to bring this much. And what is in the first? 10 to the power k plus 1. So if I am taking 10 common out here, it will be 10 to the power k plus 1. Okay, so this power is nothing, 10 to the power k plus 1. Now this will become 10 to the power k and plus 1, right? It came in this form. But one more thing is there is, we need plus 1. Okay, but this is plus 1 outside, and there is a 10 common, no? So we can do one thing here. we can write it as plus 10 minus 9. Okay, we can write the 1 as plus 10 and minus 9, so that we can take this 10 also here common out. So between this and this 10 is common. So if I are taking 10 common here, the left thing is 10 to the power k plus 1 plus 10 to the power k. And here 10 is there. If I are taking 10 common out, then 1 will left here. Okay, so in place of this we can write 3m from this statement. Okay, minus 9. And again there is 3 common. So if I are taking 3 common out, this will be 10m minus 3. That means this is divisible by 3. So we can write let 10m minus 3 is equals to n. Then this 10 to the power k plus 2 plus 10 to the power k plus 1 plus 1 is equivalent to 3n. Okay, therefore p of k plus 1 is true. Therefore p of n is true. Next question. Okay, next question, you have to find the roots. Now you know that in normal, you know, x square minus 4 is equals to 0. That means x is equals to plus or minus root 2. You know all these kinds of problems, but here there is given the coordinate. Okay, 1 and 1. So how to do this? X square minus 1 is equals to 0. Okay, so now we will shift this to that side. It will be x square is equals to 1 and 1. So x will be plus or minus square root of 1 and 1. That means there are two roots. Okay, the roots of x are plus 1 1 and minus 1 1. Just like that, we have to find x square minus 2 1, let it is equals to 0. Okay, x square is equals to 2 1, x is equals to plus or minus 2 1. Okay, again you found out that two roots are there in R for this. Okay, and what do you mean by root? Root means the value of x which will satisfy this equation. This is the next question. It is from December 17. Okay, this contains 3 marks. Function r to r is defined by f of x is equals to 2x plus 3. So f of x has been given. You have to find the mapping g, okay, such that f of g is equals to x. So here two functions are there. One is f of x and another one is g of x. And f of x has been given, that is 2x plus 3. We have to find out what is g of x is. Okay, and one more thing has been given, f of g is equals to x. Okay, so let we know that this is the form whenever finding the composition, but we don't know that what is the changes here. Okay, so let this change, the total g of x is f, so it will be f of y, right? F of y means look, the element multiply 2 plus 3. So the element here is y, so 2y plus 3. Okay, that means f of g is equals to 2y plus 3. But in the question it has been given as x, that means it is equivalent to x. Okay, now we need to find y because we took let g of x is equals to y, and this is what we need to find out. Okay, so y will equals to x minus 3 by 2. So this is what g of x is, right? And this is what the mapping we need to find out. You can also cross check it, as g of x has been given x minus 3 by 2. This is just cross check. Okay, this is in rough. And f of x is equals to 2x plus 3. So you can find out, no? F of g of x is equals to, first g of x is f of x minus 3 by 2. Then this element multiply 2 plus 3. So x minus 3 by 2 multiply 2 plus 3. After solving you will get x only. That means f of g is equals to x. So this is the desired mapping you need to find out, and this is the answer. and in December 17 only this question came from the unit 1. This is the next question. It is from June 17. Okay, and here remember, this is the example in the book given. This is the kind of that, because there it was given that either L1 is equals to L2 or L1 is parallel to L2, but here it is given that L1 is perpendicular to L2. Okay, and we have to find whether the relation is reflexive, symmetric, or transitive or not. So first of all, for reflexive, and reflexive means we have to take the similar lines. Let L1 belongs to X, so we know that L1 is not perpendicular to L1, that means it is not reflexive, sorry, L1, because if we are considering the same line L1, then it can be like this L1 is equals to L2, right? We can say that this is parallel, but generally L1 is equals to L1. So here L1 can never be perpendicular to itself, right? That means it is not reflexive. Now next one is symmetric. Okay, and it will satisfy the symmetric. Why? If we will consider any two lines, let it be L1 and this be L2, and if I am saying that L1 is perpendicular to L2, okay, that means L2 is also perpendicular to L1. Okay, so we can write that if L1 is perpendicular to L2, then L2 is perpendicular to L1, therefore it is symmetric. Then the next one is transitive. Transitive means what? We have to consider three, L1, L2 and L3, three lines. Let this belongs to X. This is the set of all the lines those are perpendicular to each other. So if I am saying that if L1 is perpendicular to L2 and L2 is perpendicular to L3, that means what? It can be like this: L1 is perpendicular to L2, right? And this is L1 and this is L2. Next one, I am telling you that this is L3, that is perpendicular to L2. Okay, that means you can consider the 3D system like this. Okay, this is suppose L1, this is along L2 and this is along L3. In this case, this L3 is perpendicular to L2 and L1 both. Okay, because this is a 3D system. But there is another possibility that look at here L1 is perpendicular to L2 and L2 is perpendicular to L1. Also L3 is perpendicular to L2, but L3 is not perpendicular to L1. That means it get parallel with each other. Okay, that means look, if L1 is perpendicular to L2 and L2 is perpendicular to L3, then L1 may or may not be perpendicular to L3, so it is not transitive. Now next question. If Rx denote the set of all the polynomials in X with real coefficient on Rx, so Rx is the set of all polynomials and polynomials are in these forms. Okay, so there is a relation defined on f of x and g of x. These two are the polynomials that are in R of x. So what is the relation? The relation is saying that the derivative of f of x is equals to the derivative of g of x. Okay, so it has been given that where f dash of x is the derivative of f of x. So we have to show the relation is equivalence relation or not, and we have to find the equivalent class for any polynomial f of x. So given is f of x is related to g of x, where this is the relation given. So just to find out reflexive, we have to take the same polynomial. So f of x is related to f of x, that means f dash of x, this is the derivative of x, right? That means derivative of f of x will obviously equivalent to derivative of f of x. That means this is reflexive. Now come to symmetric. In case of symmetric, we have to take any two. Okay, so if we are saying that f dash of x is equivalent to g dash of x, then obviously g dash of x will be equivalent to f dash of x because of the commutative property. Okay, sorry, this is not the commutative property. So g dash of x, that means g of x is related to f of x. That means this is symmetric. Now for transitive, we have to take any three polynomials. Okay, so we took that f of x is related to g of x. That means f dash of x This the derivative of f of x is equivalent to derivative of g of x. Now if I am saying g of x is related to h of x, that means derivative of g of x is equivalent to derivative of h of x. Now this means what? Look, this is equivalent to this and this is equivalent to this. That means f dash of x is equals to h dash of x. That means f of x is related to h of x. That means it is transitive. Now the question is saying us to find out the equivalent class of f of x. Now remember, whenever we are finding the equivalent class of A that contains the set of all the elements of B such that A is related to B, so we have to fix a value for A. So here the value of A is f of x. Okay, so value of A is f of x. So we have to find all the possible values for B such that f dash of x is equals to g dash of x. Now here no numbers has been given. Okay, so we will just try it that this equivalent class contains all the g of x for which the derivative of g of x is equivalent to derivative of f of x. Well, I think this MT6 is going to be too long. So in the next video we will only discuss all the questions related to unit 1, then we will proceed unit 2.